I recently discovered an entire stack of revision cards from when I did my exams at school, which I do think says quite a lot about how dedicated I was as a student. But it meant that I had a lot of coloured paper left over, and I thought it was about time those revision cards got some use. And so I have created a read or unhaul jar / plant pot, because that was the only thing they would fit in. Today we're doing a reading vlog and we are going to be picking 3 books off of my physical TBR at random, and whatever we get we either have to read it or unhaul it. I am so nervous. Hypothetically, this shouldn't be at all taxing on me because I bought all of these books at one time or another, always gifted them, but the majority I bought. But I am a mood reader through and through, and sometimes you're just not in the mood for a book. But that being said, the nature of the jar is not going to be in my hands, it's going to be up to fate. They are colour-coded. Green is sort of general fiction, but there's also like all of my historical fiction, literary fiction, contemporary fiction. It's a little bit like mixed, but generally speaking, general fiction. Blue is sci-fi / fantasy. Pink is, of course, romance. Yellow is thriller. And there's only a few, but we have some white prompts, which are short stories or non-fiction. And I'm about to randomly pick 3 books, and we are going to read them in today's reading vlog. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to give this a good old shuffle, and we are going to pick our very first book. I am scared. Okay, I'm hoping for a green prompt. I'm going to go for this one. Is it green? It is green. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. That means that this is somewhere in the general fiction realm. Could also be historical fiction though, which is scary. Okay, I'm going to show you first. Is it good? Is it so good? It looks like it's upside down. Everyone I know is dying. I couldn't fit the whole thing on the prompt. Okay, that is not a bad one to start with, I think. That is a book that I found in a bookstore in Edinburgh last summer, so it's been a year that it's been on my TBR, so that is a really good one to start with, something that I have owned a very long time. Okay, we will go find the book, and that is the first book that we are going to be reading in today's video. Guys, I'm having one of those hair days where I've done my hair like 17 times, wish I was exaggerating, I'm not, and it just looks terrible. So we're just going to ignore it because I've put it up so many times in so many different styles. It looks awful. I need to wash it. It's a whole thing. Let's just don't look at it. I don't know. Just don't look. It's annoying me. It's really annoying me. But I've given up. I've surrendered. We're ignoring it. We're not looking at it. It's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the book, which I will say I'm not having much luck with either. Because I think I'm in a book slump. I think it's official. I've been kind of teasing it for weeks. I've been saying a potential book slump, a maybe book slump. Yeah, I want to come on here and officially confirm it. I'm in a book slump. I made it about a third in to Everyone I Know Is Dying. I was reading it physically and now I've swapped to the audiobook, and now I'm 50% in, so I guess we can take this bookmark out. I swapped to the audiobook for 2 reasons. The first reason being, this book is so annoying. As in like the actual physical book, the physical being, the entity that it is, annoying because it's really big. I don't have another book with me, but it's like one of those really tall paperbacks, and it's just really like the opposite of floppy. It's just awkward to hold and to read. It's just annoying me. That's the first reason. The second reason is the slump. I just don't want to read. So I've swapped to the audiobook, which I will say has worked wonders for me because I am enjoying it a lot more now that I'm on the audiobook. Anyway, did we ever even discuss what this book is about? This is Everyone I Know Is Dying by Emily Slapper. It is a literary fiction. It is very much on paper, my type, if you will. Yes, Love Island is on again. It is like 20-something messy woman trying to get her life back in shape literature. It's my jam. That being said, I genuinely am not in the mood for literary fiction, which never happens to me. And like, I've taken a break, by the way, from reading. I deliberately didn't start this for like 5 days. I didn't read anything for 5 days, which for me is really unusual. And I kept waiting to get that feeling of like, oh, okay, I'm ready to read again. And it just hasn't kicked back in. So we just started because Video's got to come out at some point. Basically, we're following, what is even her name? A woman. Does she have a name? Oh yeah, Iris. We're following Iris and like her struggles with mental health. The writing style is really, really, really depictive. No, that's not a word. Descriptive. Instead of saying like, oh, Iris got into bed, they'll say Iris straightened the duvet cover and then unstraightened the duvet cover. She ran her hands across the sheets and she remembered a time in which the sheets were purchased 7 years ago, and on that trip she felt like this, and she sits down and feels the edge of the mattress and the floor with beneath her feet, and like it's very much like that. It's not just like she got into bed. And everything is like that, and it almost reads like the inside of your brain, as in every single thought you have, just continuously, like a kind of stream of consciousness. But like it does jump around a little bit. It's not completely stream of consciousness, but it is like no thoughts are filtered out. And then because she's struggling with depression, it's really good representation of how that feels, but equally is really draining to read, but then equally is kind of the point, because that is how she is feeling. She has a best friend called Sarah, and I will say both of them are insufferable, like around each other and to each other. They're both continuously trying to like pick each other apart, beat each other at things, like they're just really horrible to each other. And I love reading about female friendships. That is a little bit sad. But again, like it's intentional, like you're not supposed to like this friend, but I always don't like our main woman when she's with Sarah. And like all of this is intentional, right? We've been given a character study where it's a very complicated main character, and there are moments when you like her and there are moments where she's really not very likable. And like I like complicated character studies, but the slump, man. The slump is doing her thing. That being said, proud of myself for making it halfway through. I hate to think how long the second half is going to take, because the first half took me a very long time. So it's been approximately a year and a half since I last spoke to you, but I finished. Finally. I obviously am exaggerating a little bit, but it has been a while. I've been reading this for about 2 weeks, I want to say, which considering at the 30% mark I started audiobooking it, that's not great. In my defense, I have been on an acting job for only 2 days. For the last 2 days, I have not touched this because I have been doing 14-hour shoot days. But I did come back yesterday and finish this off. So I thought we would finally chat about it, because I know it hasn't been very long for you, but I have had this book on my bedside table for so long. The book slump is in full force. I feel like what I need is something like super genre based, if that makes sense. So like a thriller or a romance, something where like maybe the plot is moving and I just kind of know what to expect maybe. And I just think, and this is crazy coming from me because we know it's my favourite genre, but I just wasn't in the mood for literary fiction, unfortunately. I feel like a lot of my midway points kind of still stand. It was a very accurate depiction of depression, but that was also very difficult to read, and it didn't necessarily make for like an enjoyable reading experience, which again, all of that's intentional, but it does mean that it's just very almost monotonous. We are going through every single moment in this woman's life and every single thought. Like I feel like nothing was edited out. Like every single thing that this woman felt, did, thought about was in here. So it did kind of read like stream of consciousness. But as I say, I think the mental illness representation was done really well, and I think it was incredibly accurate. But it just means that you need to be maybe in the mindset to read that. And as I say, I maybe wasn't. Every single thing that this woman thinks, she writes. No detail is spared. Like if she's walking down the street, she is telling you every single thing she has ever thought, which is like a little bit how it feels like to be in your own mind. Like, you know, when you're just a bit sick of yourself and you're like, oh my God, like I need to just stop. Well, I have ADHD. I don't know if anybody else has that. But you ever have it where you're like, your brain is almost overloaded and you're thinking about so much and it's just like, I just need to like not hang out with me for a minute, but you can't do that because it's you. I don't know if that's relatable at all. Anyway, that was a little bit like what this book was like. I'm intrigued. If any of you have read this, let me know. I don't think it has that many ratings on Goodreads, so I'm kind of assuming maybe not. I've had 1 or 2 of you in my comments say that you had, so let me know what you thought if you read it. But I'm glad to have finally conquered our first book, because I just feel like that was an ongoing battle for a hot minute. And I'm going to pass you back to Past Flow because we need to start our second book. So go find out what we're reading. Welcome back in. Hopefully I enjoyed the first book and we are going to pick our second book of the video. I feel like because we've started with a literary fiction, I'm okay, maybe with a different genre. I'm not fully in the mood for a romance, but anything else, I don't think I'll mind. Okay. Let's pick our second prompt. I'm going to give these a good shuffle and I'm going to go for this one here. What genre is it? Oh, I just said I didn't want a romance. Did I not just say that? Okay, going in open-minded. I'll show you guys first. What is it? It's a long title. Okay, I didn't want a romance. I did not want a romance, but I'm not too angry about the 7-year slip because everybody is obsessed with that book. Okay, I didn't want a romance. I did not want a romance, but I actually think that could be really good, and it's meant to be like magical realism mixed with romance. So okay, that is book number 2. I think you guys are going to be happy with that because you have been asking me to read it for a very long time. Again, that's one that I've owned. I think I got that one last Christmas. So it's been on my TBR for like 7-ish months. So again, quite good that we're getting books that I've owned a really long time, which is the point of this video, and a good contrast hopefully from the last one. So let's go find the 7-year slip and start reading. Lads, it's not the video I'm meant to be filming, but it's very much the video I feel like I am now filming. I just feel like I'm filming a getting out of a book slump video, except that I'm not getting out of it. Anyway, I started the 7-year slip. I'm audiobooking it because I don't want to read. I'm not gonna lie to you, and this isn't a comment on the book, this is a comment on this gal. It's just not holding my attention at all. I keep zoning out. Like, the book slump is nosediving, it's just getting worse. That's really genuinely not a comment on the book, but I just don't want to read at the moment. I don't know how to fix it. Like, if anyone has any advice, please let me know, because my usual trick with a book slump is just stop reading for a while until you're like excited to read again. And I've tried that. I've tried it a few times, and the urge to read just isn't coming back. So I kind of don't know what else to try. So if anyone has any thoughts, if anyone has any advice, please, I'm all ears. Anyway, let's chat about the 7-year slip. Because, as I say, I am audiobooking it, but I am pretty much exactly a third in. I feel like everyone will have already read this book because it is very, very popular. This book has such a, like, insane fan base. Like, people adore this book. So I've been very excited to read it. We're basically following Clementine, who is struggling with grief and kind of, like, a bit stuck in her life, in her job. And then it's this whole, like, magical realism apartment, like, magical apartment where there's a man from the past, from 7 years. They've kind of, like, met. He's there some of the time, but not all of the time. To be honest, I thought it was going to be a bit more random, but she seems to have a bit more control over it than I was maybe expecting, having heard people's reviews. I just thought he was going to, like, appear really randomly, but he does seem to stay there if she, like, wants him to. Or, to be honest, I don't really know the ins and outs of the situation, but I think as long as she kind of, like, sticks around, then he is still there or something. I don't know, I keep zoning out of the audiobook. So far there's not really conflict between them. I guess the only conflict is they live in different time periods, which I guess is kind of a big deal. But, like, between the two of them, they're pretty much just flirting and they like each other and they're getting on, and that's kind of just where we're at. So other than how the whole time thing is going to resolve itself, basically right now I don't really know what the conflict of this book is going to be about, other than them just kind of, like, getting through personal issues, which that side of it is really, really interesting. But in terms of the actual relationship dynamic, I don't know, it's kind of just easygoing at the moment. Like, they're just flirting and they both clearly like each other. It's just kind of, like, sweet but not necessarily There's no tension, I guess. Well, there is tension because they're literally living in different time periods. It's very well written, but the book slump is slumping. I think I'm going to stick for now with the audiobook because the idea of sitting down and reading a book, not appealing to me right now, unfortunately. It's been a couple days. I have made progress. I am up to 70% through this book. I am definitely a lot more into it than when I last spoke to you. I still think the book slump is hitting hard, and like I don't want to keep bringing it back to this, so I do apologise, but equally this kind of for me is turning into a how to get out of a book slump video, except with no end because it's not working. Anyway, I'm liking this. I could tell that I would be maybe loving it if I wasn't in a book slump, but I can really see why people love this so much. I don't really know how it's gonna end in the way that you kind of would normally with a typical romance, which I think is quite fun. It gives this like quite unique spin, and this definitely feels very unique. And I've heard this about a lot of Ashley Poston's books, that they all kind of have this unique magical realism thing going on. I would also say check your trigger warnings because there is some content in this that I just really wasn't expecting. But I think how the romance and the plot are kind of sitting, the romance almost feels like a subplot, which works well for me. It's still heavily focusing on the romance, like it's still definitely a romance book, don't get me wrong, but there's also quite a heavy plot kind of going along with that, which that balance is really working for me as somebody who has fallen into quite a big romance slump in the last year at this point. And while I still love a romance book, I am learning that I love romance books with a heavy plot. So something like Hannah Bonham Young's books, those really work for me because they have a heavy plot and the romance. So I'm thinking maybe Ashley Poston's books are also going to work for me because in this one anyway, that balance is really, really good. It's bingeable, it's fun, the book slump is doing its thing, but that is not a comment on the book. 70% in, so just a little bit of the way left to go, and absolutely no idea how she's going to resolve this, how it's going to end, but I'm intrigued. I'm excited to find out. I actually have multiple updates for you, but first things first. Finally, I have finished the 7-year slip. It felt like a bit of a slog, nothing to do with the book, everything to do with me. It felt like a bit of a slog getting through this, but I have done it. I will say the further into it I got, the more hooked I was. And I do think if I hadn't been in a reading slump, I would have absolutely adored this. I still really, really liked it, but I do think I would have appreciated it even more had I had wanted to read. I think, like objectively speaking, my favourite romance book of the year before this was probably Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, and I was saying that that was just such a top tier romance book for me, and how I had been and kind of still am in a massive romance slump, but that book reminded me that I do really like romance books. I would actually consider this one up there with that one, and like part of that is objectivity, like I can objectively say this is really, really good and this is one of the best romance books I have read all year. Again, the slump really does come into play, but I'm kind of trying to push that aside because that is no comment on the book. I just don't want to be reading at the moment, but like, what can you do at a certain point? I make book content. We're powering through, I guess. But objectively speaking, this one and Out on a Limb are my favourite romance books that I have read this year. I will say that's not like a crazy statistic because I probably only read maybe like 10 romance books this year. But this one, Out on the Woods, no, what? Out on a Limb. Very, very good. Would highly recommend, particularly if romance is your primary genre. I think you will adore this. Now, I do have a second update. Actually, I can't tell you because you don't know what the last book is yet. Okay, go find out what the last book is and then we will reconvene and I will give you my update. Pals, we are back to pick our third and final book of the video. We've had a literary fiction and we've had a romance. So I feel like genre-wise, we're doing quite well. I could technically like let myself pick a specific genre, but I think I'm just gonna keep it random because so far it's doing okay for me. I don't want another romance, but other than that, I'm not too bothered. If we have another lit fic, cool. If it's something new, cool. I think either way, we're in a strong place. Hopefully I liked the last two books and we're gonna pick our third and final book. Please pick me something good. Okay. Let's go for one right at the bottom. Let's go for this prompt here. Blue. That means sci-fi or fantasy. There are quite a few sci-fi and fantasy books that I have been avoiding because I'm scared of them. Okay, this might not be good. Let's see what she says. I know what that says. It's a Sea of Tranquility, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I am a little bit scared of this book just because I've heard it is very confusing potentially, but it is short, which goes in its favour. I am a little bit scared about this book. I tried to listen to the audiobook once. I made it maybe 10 minutes in, maybe not even that, and I was like, this is not a book I can audiobook. So we will be reading it physically. I will say my copy of this is stunning, like so beautiful. Little bit scared, but again, a good contrast from the others. Look at that, 3 different genres. That actually worked out really, really well. Okay, our final read for the video is Sea of Tranquility. Hopefully I like it. Bit intimidated, but that is the whole point of this video, is to make me reach for the books that I have been avoiding. And again, one that I've owned for a very long time. So let's get into it. I have started Sea of Tranquility, and believe it or not, I'm at 60% through this book. Now, the reason I'm surprised about that is because A, the reading slump. I also just really had a feeling that I was gonna struggle through this. Tell me why I'm loving it. Tell me why. I wasn't expecting this. This is a sci-fi book, and from all the reviews I had seen, it was supposed to be very confusing, and I was just like, oh, why did I have to get this now? Like, I'm not going to enjoy this now. I'm in a reading slump. I want something easy. I'm not going to enjoy a confusing book. I must say, normally when people say books are confusing, I find them confusing. Kind of not in this case. I don't know everything that's going on, but not in a frustrating way. So in this book, we are following, well, it's really difficult to explain, but we're following lots of different people through lots of different time periods, and they are linked, but you don't really get those links until a lot later on. I've still not fully got those links, but you kind of get them as you're going through, but it's nowhere near as confusing as I was maybe expecting. And maybe that's partly just I overhyped it in my head because I'd heard people say that. Maybe I almost braced myself too much, and actually it's fine, in my opinion. The other reason that I think this is really working for me at the moment is quite a superficial reason, but the chapters are tiny, and book slump brain, that is just really working for me. And whenever I'm in a book slump, mixed media or short chapters, listen, they just do it for me. They do, I'm not gonna lie. And this kind of has both. I'm sort of surprised how readable this book is, which might sound silly, but I just was expecting this book to be really difficult to get through. I can't remember if I said it in this video or a different one, but I have previously started the audiobook for this, and I didn't have the foggiest what was going on. Like, the audiobook just blew my mind, and yet reading it physically, I'm not having that literally at all. Sure, there's a few characters to get your head around, but I don't know. I don't know if I just overhyped it to myself, but it's actually not difficult to understand at all, in my opinion. And I don't know what it is, but this is weirdly becoming my favourite book of the video, which I just was not expecting at all. I was not expecting to hate it, obviously. Like, I bought it, I thought I was gonna like it, but I just really didn't want to read it now. Really had kind of been avoiding it, thinking it was quite an intimidating book. And yeah, I'm 60% in, and I've read this all in one day, by the way, can I just say? And like, I'm in a book slump. And yeah, why do I feel like I'm not in a book slump with this book? Like, this is just working for me. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm happy. God, am I happy, because this book slump has been actually painful. Is this the answer? I don't know. I don't know. But right now it's really working for me. I'm so excited to continue this. Guys, I have finished Sea of Tranquility. Somebody tell me why this was my favourite book of the week. That was not on my bingo card. Never in a million years did I think that this was going to be my favourite book of the week. That's kind of crazy. And this is the first time in honestly a while that I haven't felt like I'm in a book slump because of a sci-fi book. Nobody saw that coming, least of all me. I loved this, and I can't even tell you why. This just really worked for me. I don't know if it was the writing style, the structure. I did really like how quick moving everything was, how there was intrigue, but you weren't left completely confused. You were given enough that it wasn't frustrating. I did like that the chapters were short and there were lots of characters and they all interlinked. I'm very pleasantly surprised. And again, obviously I bought this book thinking I was gonna like it, but I have been avoiding it. And maybe this is your sign to pick up a book you've been avoiding, because this is one that I would have like kept avoiding had the TBR jar. No, what video are we doing? Reader Unhaul jar. Had the Reader Unhaul jar not picked this, I probably would have just kept avoiding it, which is such a shame because I literally love this. And now I want to pick up more from Emily St. John Mandel. I think they have a book called Station 11 that I've heard really good things about. I think I might try that next. Someone let me know if you've read that, or if you have another book of theirs that I should read. If you have any recommendations, let me know. Fair warning, this book is about pandemics. They do talk a little bit about COVID-19, but only quite briefly, but there's a couple moments where it does come up, and then it sort of talks about other pandemics during time. I know that's something that some people don't like reading about, so if that's you, maybe avoid it, but I loved the conversations that were had in this book, the conversations about humanity, just, it was gorgeous. It was really, really gorgeous. And kind of the end, I guess, the messaging of this book is just so profound. I don't know, guys. I was not expecting to love it, and I low-key did. I'm shocked. I'm as shocked as you guys are. Who thought the sci-fi book was going to be my favourite one of the week? Talking of, let's do a cheeky little roundup of this week's reading. We started with Everyone I Know Is Dying by Emily Slapper, a literary fiction that I do think unfortunately fell a little bit victim to my reading slump. Talking of, we then read The 7-Year Slip, which I do think unfortunately both of these really fell victim to the reading slump. I think this one I can really recommend to romance lovers and really appreciate as being good, and I would have enjoyed it more had I not been in a reading slump. Plus a romance slump, by the way, like, we're coming at all angles here. It was probably not the right time to read this book, but nonetheless, I can still appreciate it. I think it was very well written, and I would pick up more from Ashley Poston in the future. And then this ended up being my favourite. Who saw that coming? Not me. Not me in a million years. I will say props to the TBR jar because she gave us range. Not the TBR jar. What video am I filming? The Reader Unhaul jar. She kind of did us good. A literary fiction, a romance, and a sci-fi. That really worked out well for us. Let me know if you want to see this video again. I think it's a good way for me to push myself. Maybe next time I'll try it where I pick out a genre that I want to read. Maybe that will help a little bit with mood reading, or I don't know. Let me know if that's a good idea or if I should stick to just doing it completely randomly. And thank you so much for watching. If you're not already, please subscribe. I would love to have you. Like the video, comment, all of that fun stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. I love you. Goodbye.